despite reports stating that the Chelsea goalkeeper situation next season is going to be Mike Penders coming back to fight for his first team spot with Robert Sanchez, reports indicate that supposedly Chelsea are looking into the possibility of signing Porto's Diogo Costa. Sky Sports News have reported that Chelsea admire Adam Wharton. Despite Enzo Fernandez constantly throwing himself at Real Madrid, supposedly new manager Jose Mourinho is more interested in Matheus Fernandes. Nicolas Jackson is yet to make his final decision on where he's going to be playing his football next season, but is that decision really his? Despite being very young, Giovani Quenda is already showing what a consummate professional he is by committing to starting at Chelsea a few days early before pre-season to get familiar with the grounds. And Liam Twomey reports that Trevoh Chalobah is a positive and well liked in the Chelsea dressing room, as well as holding himself and others around him to a high standard. So could that mean he's safe for another season? And also, he's been called up for the World Cup. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And it's a goalkeeper day. We've got more goalkeeper news to get into, so let's just go. Transfer News Live posted this via Record Portugal. Chelsea continue to monitor Porto goalkeeper Diogo Costa as they search for a long-term solution between the posts. The Portuguese international heads into the World Cup as one of the highest rated goalkeepers in the tournament after an impressive season for Porto. Porto value Costa at around €60 million and expect his price to rise further if he impresses at the World Cup. PSG are also keeping an eye on the situation. So this is mainly made interesting by the fact that all of the PR recently has been coming out and saying that the plan is for Mike Penders to come back and fight with Robert Sanchez for the number one spot, as reported recently by Nazar Kinsella. We all know that Mike Maignan is on the market because his whole thing was, if we don't get into the Champions League and if Allegri leaves, then he didn't want to stay, but he committed to a really long deal at AC Milan, so it's also going to be expensive. Diogo Costa feels like the goalkeeper we should have gone in for a little while ago, and don't get me wrong, like, he's really, really, really good, but 60 mil. And like this article says, if he goes and has an amazing World Cup with Portugal, then chances are that is just going to get even higher. I think he's nearly 30, if not already 30, so he's kind of that Maignan prime age of his career kind of thing. But I don't see us going out and spending 60 to 80 mil on a goalkeeper, to be completely honest, albeit I do think that he would be an excellent choice. He can play with the ball at his feet, he's experienced, and definitely in general something that we've been missing in the goalkeeping department for a little while now. But it's just the money. The money is a little bit crazy. Like the PSG thing, I could see that happening because despite them winning the Champions League last year, they did buy in another goalkeeper to replace Gianluigi Donnarumma, but he wasn't exactly their preferred choice. Luis Enrique also wants someone that can play with the ball at his feet, so I can see that kind of thing happening and maybe him going to PSG, especially if his price rises. I personally have a feeling that the goalkeeper situation at Chelsea is going to go on late into the window. I've got this feeling that Mike Penders is going to come in and him and Robert Sanchez are going to get opportunities in pre-season and maybe the first few opening games, and I think Xabi Alonso will make a decision in and around then to whether he's happy with both of the options he's got, and if he isn't, and if a Diogo Costa or a Mike Maignan is still available at that point, maybe we go in for someone later in the window, but I can't necessarily see it being a big ticket item that we're going in for right now, and largely that's just because of a lot of the news that has been coming out. Look, I would not be unhappy to see a Diogo Costa and Mike Penders at the squad next season, but if you've got Diogo Costa, Penders and Sanchez, if you do go in for a Diogo Costa, for instance, then someone's got to give, haven't they? And who would that be? I would like to think it'd be Robert Sanchez, but the truth there is it would probably be loaning Mike Penders to another club for another season. So guys, let me know what you think about it in the comments. The situation with the goalkeeper, 1 minute it seems like it's set, and then all of a sudden this kind of stuff comes out. Do you like the look of Diogo Costa? Do you think Mike Maignan is the choice? Would you rather go in for a younger player like Robin Roofs, who's also got a bit of Premier League experience? I can't wait to hear what you think. And guys, if you've made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, next up, it's a very small tweet, but we're going to talk about something that Sky Sports News put out about Adam Wharton. Chelsea Dodgers reposted this via Sky Sports News. Chelsea are admirers of Adam Wharton. That's it, but that's enough for me because I love Adam Wharton. I think he's great, especially if we do end up selling Enzo Fernandez and we have the money to really reinforce our midfield with a starting quality midfielder, which is something I desperately think we need. Adam Wharton looks like the guy. I think Alonso would really like Adam Wharton for his deep lying distribution qualities. He's obviously a young English midfielder. He's going to cost a bomb. And I don't see us going in for an Adam Wharton unless we manage to sell someone like an Enzo Fernandez. But I just think he looks great. Now, you know, big ticket items, are we really going to be able to go in for any big ticket players this season? You know, Elliot Anderson is being quoted at 121 mil at the moment. And Adam Wharton hasn't gone to the World Cup though, so he doesn't have the opportunity to raise his price in the same way. But at the same time, He's won a few trophies in the last few seasons. He's been a big part of why Crystal Palace have been good. He was really, really good in the Conference League final. He's growing and growing and growing. He's a tidy passer, consummate professional, and he just looks great. And I'd really, really like to see him in the squad. I'd love to know what you think. So I did mention Enzo Fernandez before, and Chelsea Dodgers has reposted this via Matt Moretto via the Madrid Zone. Real Madrid plan to sign a midfielder no matter what. The name to keep in mind is Matheus Fernandes. Jose Mourinho loves him. There's also Enzo Fernandez, who keeps offering himself to Madrid very strongly. Oh, this is starting to not look good for Enzo Fernandez, is it, to be completely honest? Stuff like this coming out all of the time. Obviously he wants to go to Real Madrid, and if Marc Cucurella goes to Real Madrid and Enzo Fernandez doesn't get his move despite trying everything in order to make it happen, like, all this is going to do is make Chelsea more resolute in not selling him for anything less than the money that they want. Obviously the price tag at the moment is 120 mil. I could see it maybe going to 110, 100 mil, something like that. Like, anything north of 100 mil means that we make a profit on him, and it's in and around what we spent on him in the first place. So I could see him going for something like that, but they won't sell him unless the amount of money is really there. Matheus Fernandes is already being quoted at about 85, so he's already significantly cheaper than Enzo Fernandez. And if he's more the profile of player that Jose Mourinho wants, which would make sense necessarily, because if Jose Mourinho is looking for a deep line midfielder, I don't necessarily see Enzo Fernandez being that guy for Real Madrid. I could see Enzo Fernandez playing in a number 10 role for Jose Mourinho, because Jose Mourinho isn't your typical number 10 kind of guy. He likes like a robust guy who can defend and obviously can score goals and stuff as well. But if what they're looking for is a reinforcement for their deeper midfield, then I'm not necessarily sure that Enzo Fernandez would be that guy for Jose Mourinho. I do find it really interesting. It's just starting to get a little bit cringe for Fernandez, isn't it? Because he's desperately been pushing this move so hard, and Cucurella's got his move already. But Fernandez is in this situation where he forced the move through to Chelsea in the first place, and now he's trying to force his move through to Real Madrid, but it's not the same ball game at the end of the day. I think and it was weird actually as well, because when he was at Benfica, he'd only been there for like not even a season, I don't think. I'm not even sure he'd been there an entire season, or maybe just a season. But he still managed to force his way through. The thing with this situation is he's got 4 years left on his deal. We don't need that money as much as Benfica would have done at the time. Do you know what I mean? So in Enzo Fernandez's head, he's probably like, I forced the move from Benfica to Chelsea. I can do the same thing from Chelsea to Real Madrid. But the nuance of the situation is different. Enzo Fernandez is maybe not as wanted by Real Madrid as he was by us when we got him from Benfica. The amount of money is going to be in and around the same, but we don't need that 100 mil for Enzo Fernandez as much as he wants that move to Real Madrid. So it's going to be really interesting. I've got a feeling that it might just be like an end of the window thing at this point. And to be fair, it might even be a case of if we see Real Madrid sign Matheus Fernandes from West Ham, then maybe that puts an end to the Enzo Fernandez noise completely. And he's going to have to crawl back into the team, man. He's going to have to crawl back into the team. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Xabi Alonso navigates this in particular. Enzo Fernandez, obviously amazing output last season, like really loads of goals, loads of assists, came up clutch, especially towards the end of the season, was 100% one of our better players. But he's obviously been agitating for this move for a little while now, and he's split the fan base. And it's going to be really difficult to reintegrate him into the squad straight away. So guys, let me know what you think about the Enzo Fernandez move. Has he just kind of cut his nose off to spite his face by trying to push this thing through when it's not really in his best interest to at the end of the day? Like, you got to look at the Cucurella situation. Cucurella did not push nearly as much as Enzo Fernandez has been, and he got his move, and he got it really quickly. But his situation was much more applicable for Real Madrid. It was a hole they desperately wanted to fill in their squad. It wasn't a crazy amount of money. It worked for both parties. But that's not all the same here, is it? And Enzo Fernandez pushing and pushing and pushing this move isn't necessarily going to make it easier for him, and if anything, is just alienating himself from the fan base and the team even more for if he does eventually come back. Right, next up, we're going to talk about Nicolas Jackson. Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Bobby Vincent. Sources say Nicolas Jackson himself is yet to make a final decision on where he will be playing his football come August, but he is open to the possibility of returning to Chelsea. I love the fact that this is being put across like Jackson's got loads of choice in it, because look, before he started playing for Senegal at the World Cup, a lot of Chelsea fans, including myself, were like, let's give him the opportunity. And respect, a lot of you were like, absolutely not. He's still not the guy. He hasn't improved that much. You know, it's going to be the same, if not worse than it was before or whatever. And what we're seeing from his performances with Senegal at the moment is kind of leaning more towards that, maybe there's not that much room in the team for him after all. At the end of the day, if it still comes down to a straight shootout between Nicolas Jackson and Liam Delap, I'd still rather take Nicolas Jackson, because Nicolas Jackson, with those same problems, can still score probably more than 2 goals in 41 games, I would have thought. And also he's got the versatility to play on the left as well, which just gives us another option for that position. But I'm not really buying into this. Jackson hasn't decided what he wants to do, because it's like, mate, like, you need to be better than you are, you know, because this is the thing. It's a similar situation to Enzo Fernandez, in that Chelsea won't want to sell Jackson for below a certain amount to make sure that they can make a good profit on him. At the end of the day, he's got a long contract, so Chelsea still are in the driving seat. And Nicolas Jackson didn't tear up trees at Bayern Munich. He was, you know, pretty good at Chelsea, but not good enough to get that move, you know, on a permanent anywhere else. So it's just going to be one of those things, really. I can see maybe another loan kind of happening. I'm not necessarily, you know, they want to sell him for 50 mil, don't they? And if there's someone that comes in for 50 mil, with 50 mil for him, then yeah, sound, he'll probably go. But it's not looking super likely at the moment, unless he really, really turns his Senegal form around, because, you know, he got sent off in the friendly and he's missing, you know, like ball striking unlocked, like fair play, good shot, offside. So he scored an offside goal and he's still kind of being a little bit lackluster. So if he can turn it around and have a really good World Cup, maybe. If Senegal get knocked out of the World Cup early and he comes back to Chelsea and gets some time to start working with Xabi Alonso, then maybe he gets a little bit more time to analyse him and take a look at him, albeit he will want to take a holiday first as well. But it's not looking like all of the cards are in Nicolas Jackson's hands. And again, this is another really interesting one. I'd love to know what you guys think. The Senegal stuff is not good at the moment. Like, he, you know, ultimately, albeit there are some flashes of potential, we've all seen these flashes of potential before. And we really need to get to a place soon where it's like, what are we going to do with Nicolas Jackson? Can we keep him? And I hope Xabi Alonso doesn't spend a lot of time making that decision, because if we can get him out and get 40 to 50 mil for him from someone somewhere, I don't even know how likely that is. But at the same time, then we can try and use that to reinvest and upgrade our squad. Right, next up, also from Chelsea Dodgers, but via Liam Twomey, we're going to talk about Giovani Quenda. Those familiar with Giovani Quenda's mindset say he is excited to work with Xabi Alonso and plans to cut his summer break short to report for pre-season training a few days early. His initial aims are modest: to absorb the ideas of his new manager, to learn from his teammates, and commit himself fully to making a positive impression. Yes, I love this. It's so nice. And we've seen stuff like this from Giovani Quenda already. Like, when he got his big injury last season at Sporting, he came and did a lot of his recovery at Chelsea, and he spent a lot of time in and around Cobham. So he's already, as a really, really young lad, he's very conscious of, it's important that I go and get my feet under the ground. It's important that I understand what the manager wants from me. It's important that I know my surroundings. And that is going to make his move here a little bit easier to bed into, because he spent time here already. He's going to come back and be one of the first guys there for pre-season, trying to make a really good impression. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Giovani Quenda based on what formation we play at the end of the day. A lot of you guys are calling for him to be given a shot at wing-back. Absolutely, I could 100% see why he's got the qualities for that. He's a great wide player and he's a really good facilitator and creator. But there was a story a little while ago to say that supposedly the reason he didn't go to Man United is because he didn't want to play as a wing-back. So, if Xabi Alonso can kind of say, look, man, my wing-backs get 25 GA, which is kind of what happened with Frimpong and Grimaldo, and then maybe Giovani Quenda's a little bit more up for that. And I do think it's a good idea for him to come back early in order to try and find that kind of thing out before the proper training starts. So, love that. Love Giovani Quenda. Really, really excited to see him in the team. I'm hoping that the injury isn't going to be like a reoccurring issue or anything like that. Obviously, the Premier League is more physical. We saw Estevan Williams struggled with it a little bit last season as well. So, you know, really, really excited to see what Giovani Quenda can do. Really excited to see what position he plays, and love the fact that he's got this phenomenal attitude about getting in and working and trying to impress the manager and doing whatever he can to get into the team as quick as possible. Right, and we're going to finish up with a couple of tweets about Trevoh Chalobah. The first one is pertaining to his time at Chelsea. Chelsea Dodgers posted this via Liam Twomey. Trevoh Chalobah is a popular, positive dressing room influence at Chelsea, as well as a fierce competitor who holds himself and others to high standards in training. So again, this is like, you know, similar to the Giovani Quenda thing. I love this. I think it's really important that we have players that are professional at the end of the day. The worry with Trevoh Chalobah is Blueco have actively tried to sell him for a couple of windows. Obviously, we kept him last season kind of without question, which I was really happy about. The issue now is if we go in for like a Maxence Lacroix or someone like that, we go in and buy a significant upgrade to our centre-back situation. Is Trevoh Chalobah happy to fight for his spot? Rather than, basically for the last season and a half, he's been our first choice centre-back. He's played the most Premier League games out of all of our centre-backs. And at Crystal Palace for that 6-month loan, he was their first choice centre-back as well. So I hope that this level of professionalism and this attitude that he seems to have that's really positive is maintained at the end of the day. I really want to keep hold of Trevoh Chalobah, and I would love to have him as a depth option, like someone to start the odd rotational game if one of our other centre-backs does get injured, or, we're not going to have as many games next season at the end of the day. But if it's like, if we've got Lacroix and Levi Colwill as our starting two centre-backs, then I would love to see Trevoh Chalobah being the option instead of a Fofana, a Badiashile, a Disasi, or I missed one. Who have I missed? Tosin Adarabioyo, for instance. So let me know what you guys think about that in the comments. Like, I would really like to see Trevoh Chalobah stay. I would understand it though if he's like, look, I've been the first choice here for the last couple of seasons. I want to go and play first team football, and there will be zero resistance to him leaving because he's an academy player and he's going to be pure book profit at the end of the day. So look, just one of those really. But I love the fact that this is coming out, and hopefully that says that he's willing to stick around, be part of the project. The same way Reece James is at the end of the day. Reece James is his first teamer, obviously, but Reece James could probably have got moves to other places if he hadn't signed that new deal, but he did sign the new deal and put it to bed. Maybe we could see something similar with Trevoh Chalobah to show that he's kind of committed to the project. But guys, let me know what you think about Chalobah in terms of the Chelsea team. And we're going to talk a little bit more about him, but it is about the World Cup. Chelsea Dodgers posted this via David Ornstein. Trevoh Chalobah has been called up by Thomas Tuchel. Yes! 2 Chelsea players in the England team. Yes, absolutely love that. Now, he's replaced Tino Livramento. Still think it was wild he was chosen in the first place, just based on the injury issues. And lo and behold, the reason that he's out is because he's injured. So crazy in the first place. Obviously, it doesn't look like a like-for-like swap, does it? But what has actually gone on here is Thomas Tuchel sees Quenda as being able to play left back or right back. So Trevoh Chalobah has been brought in essentially in place of Quenda, and Quenda will now be used as a rotation option for the fullbacks. So look, is he going to play? There's a lot of centre-backs there. I don't know, to be honest. It may just be like a third choice centre-back kind of option. If we go at 3 at the back, he has got some experience in playing in that kind of formation, so maybe that could work in his favour. He was pretty good, when he started. Often under Maresca, he'd start as right back, but it wasn't really right back, was it? It was him playing as the right centre-back, and obviously Cucurella was inverted into the midfield. I don't know if Thomas Tuchel's going to do anything like that. We'll find out tonight, by the way. But at the same time, Trevoh Chalobah was one of our better players throughout the season. Now, that's not saying much, unfortunately, because we had a pretty torrid season. And obviously, the back end in particular was really, really bad. But I'm happy to see Trevoh Chalobah called up to the England squad. 2 Chelsea players representing England. Absolutely love that. I hope he can get some minutes, but even just the fact that he's there, being around the camp, that's going to be really good for him. He's going to love it. It means we lose him for the kind of initial parts of pre-season, but that gives us more opportunity to test out the likes of Josh Achiampong and Mamadou Sarr, and hopefully give them some opportunities as well. So that's it, guys. That is my wrap up of the news today. I'd like to know what you think about everything. Diogo Costa, Portuguese goalkeeper, looks fantastic. One of the highest rated goalkeepers in the world going into the World Cup. 60 million euros, 52 million pounds, something like that, in and around. Let me know what you think. Is he the kind of guy you think we should go for, or should we just stick with the Mike Penders, Robert Sanchez battle? Chelsea admire Adam Wharton. That was the entire tweet, and obviously I do too. But I'd like to know what you think about that in the comments. Do you think he's the kind of player we should be going in for, or is the money just a bridge too far? Enzo Fernandez is throwing himself at Real Madrid, and it's starting to look like they don't really want him. Is there a spot back for him in the team? Do you think he'll be able to integrate? Let me know what you think. Nicolas Jackson hasn't made his decision yet. I'm not going to lie, is he going to be the one making the decisions? Are all of you guys very much on the no, get rid of him? Or do you think that, he could still come good? Do you think that the World Cup is even that important for him in terms of showing what he can do? Or do you think we should just wait until Alonso has a chance to work with him and see what he can do then? Giovani Quenda is a consummate professional for such a young lad. That's absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see him in. And Trevoh Chalobah is also a bit of a geezer in the dressing room, and he's very well liked, so hopefully that means he sticks around, and he's going going to the World Cup, so absolutely love that too. Nice one, guys. I'm going to wrap the video up there, but if you're watching it on the day of release, I'm heading over to my friend Kai's channel, Behind the Dugouts, tonight. We will be doing a live stream watching the England-Croatia game together. It's going to be fun. Hopefully, I'll see some of you over there. Nice one, guys. I hope you all have an absolutely wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.